Inside these islands is usually white sand and quite sparse and barren. It's now a lush carpet of really short green grass and an ideal nursery area for young impalas. The lambs are out and strong. There are dozens of them out with every herd. It's interesting that they, so young, have already learned to pronk and also horning each other, sort of head-butting each other face on, as wouldn't have expected it to be happening with such young individuals. Just on the edge of this forest, we heard the vervets starting to call, and a few impala starting to snort. There were 3 females in this thick sedge, just focused on one area. We saw a leopard had just killed one of their lambs. Dragging it into a Leopard thicket. I'm quite amazed at how brave these female impala were. They came right up towards the thicket and kept on watching and scenting. They actually stayed there for 4 or 5 hours, obviously looking for the youngsters. To our surprise, we found 3 lambs. She'd obviously found a little nursery or a spot that they had been hiding, and she managed to bag 3 of them. She moved back to the carcass and began to feed. She started feeding on the back end of the little lamb. Quite interestingly, had no problem getting to the stomach and the small intestines, and slowly stripped out some of the small intestine, just constantly eating on that. Leopards don't normally eat the stomachs of their prey. They generally gut it and bury it. These lambs haven't been eating anything other than the rich, nutritious milk from their mothers. So it's quite a prized meal for a leopard.
A group of Asian elephants, some babies in among this group as well. All different sizes, right? From the very largest there at the front, stepping down smaller, right down to a little baby, hardly taller than the grasses that they're walking through. But now the rainy season is over. A lot of the larger mammals come out of the forest a little bit more in search of the dwindling supplies of water. Oh, I wish I could get closer to this, but don't forget I'm on foot. You have to be fairly careful around these animals, of course. Well, that was wonderful, but far too brief. What a shame. They turn away to the left and make off over the hill to a bit of thick forest where they were earlier. I waited around for a long time after that, but it was not to be. So I went to a fruiting fig tree that I'd been told about earlier in the day, and as soon as I arrived, I saw what I was really hoping to see. And that is a binturong or bearcat. Now, this is the very first time I've seen one of these animals. It's a kind of civet. It's the largest of the civets that we have here. Usually a nocturnal animal, But here it is, out and about again in the daytime. It's so exciting to see one at last, and how agile it is, with its prehensile tail reaching across gaps between branches but hanging on with its tail as an anchor line, just in case it makes a slip. And it's stripping figs from this tree, having a good old feast. Once nightfall comes in about an hour or so's time, there will be a lot of other civets getting up into this tree of different species. And I think this one's just picking off all the best ones before the crowd arrives, as it were. It will come down to the ground occasionally and will also eat small animals if it can get hold of them. It's not just a fruit eater. And after around about half an hour of feeding, it curled itself up in this fig tree and appeared to go to sleep, digesting its feast.
Once again, we enter the warm turquoise water here in northern Mozambique. And we're back to a dive site that is fast becoming my favorite. Not only here at Vimizi Island, but possibly on the entire planet. It's a favorite hunting ground because of the rich life here, as these two dog-toothed tuna began to hunt just a little lower. Here the guards to the canyon are grey reef sharks, and they patrol the bottom here. All this water moving here and all the currents that converge in this area bring in these great predators. And these grey reef sharks, to me, almost feel as if they're the custodians of this canyon. They're relatively shy animals, however, and they do tend to keep their distance. Unlike these potato bass today, who were so animated, and I'm not sure why. As I approach, perhaps it's the reflection in the port, maybe it's the lights, or maybe they just liked me, but they come in really, really close. Everywhere I seem to look today, the potato bass would come in and have a really close look. You can see just how well his camouflage works against the reef. The black blotches really breaking up the overall silhouette, and the lighter color blending in nicely with some of the coral and sandy bits. So, seeing as they've been trying to get my attention this whole time, I decided to follow one of the potato bass up to the northern section of this reef. Now on this northern section, this is where there seems to be a lot of fish life aggregating. And that's because this is the section that is receiving the brunt of the current. Here you have this massive school of humphead snapper, all pointing in the same direction so that the water may flow over their gills. If you look a little closer, you'll start to see a few surgeons in between. Big boha snapper mingle in as well. Sitting just above, in twos and threes, are the grey chubs. But really here, it's all about the snapper and just the sheer numbers and the volume of these animals here. There are very few parts of the world that you get fish in these volumes, and it shows just how healthy the ocean can be in certain areas, as long as we manage it correctly.